I'm Katie Wilson. Here are the top stories for today. Hamas delays hostage release. Israeli protesters demand action. US tariffs on steel and aluminium will not go unanswered. European Union will trigger tough countermeasures. The World Government Summit opens in Dubai in a record-breaking edition. Hamas says it'll delay the release of Israeli hostages planned for Saturday, citing Israeli violations of the ceasefire agreement. The decision has sparked protests in Tel Aviv as families of hostages call for urgent government action.
Hamas military wing announced it would halt the next phase of hostage releases, accusing Israel of obstructing aid deliveries, targeting Palestinians and delaying the return of displaced Gazans. The ceasefire in place since January 19 has held despite some incidents. In response, Israeli protesters gathered in Hostages Square in Tel Aviv, demanding that the government prioritize negotiations for the return of captives. Families of the hostages urged officials to ensure the deal continues without further delays.
I don't care what they say. They all need to come home now. Every single person that doesn't belong there needs to come home now. Every single one of them. No need to delay, nothing. Send them all home. This is where they all belong. Every last one of them belongs here, every single person. All of the hostages, all of them. Not the ones that are supposed to come tomorrow or the next day. All of them now. This is where they belong. This is their home.
Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz rejected Hamas claims, saying the delay itself violates the agreement. He has instructed the military to maintain the highest level of readiness in Gaza. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu addressed lawmakers in the Knesset, reaffirming Israel's commitment to securing the hostages' return. He warned that those responsible for harming captives would bear the consequences. Netanyahu also discussed Gaza's future, praising US President Donald Trump's proposal as a new revolutionary idea for post-war stability. While opposition lawmakers voiced criticism, the Prime Minister maintained that Israel's objectives remain unchanged, eliminating Hamas and ensuring security. Mediators from Qatar and Egypt warned that the ceasefire deal is at risk, with both sides trading accusations of violations. Talks on the second phase of the agreement remain stalled, raising uncertainty over the next steps.
US President Donald Trump says that if all the hostages held in Gaza are not returned by Saturday at noon, he will propose cancelling the Israel-Hamas ceasefire, and says, in his own words, all hell will break out. Trump also says he might withhold aid to Jordan and Egypt if they don't take Palestinian refugees being relocated from Gaza.
Well, I would say this, and I'm going to let that because that's Israel's decision, but as far as I'm concerned, if all of the hostages aren't returned by Saturday at 12 o'clock, I think it's an appropriate time. I would say cancel it and all bets are off and let hell break out. I'd say they ought to be returned by 12 o'clock on Saturday, and if they're not returned, all of them, not in drips and drabs, not 2 and 1 and 3 and 4 and 2. Saturday at 12 o'clock, and after that, I would say all hell is going to break out. And I don't think they're going to do it. I think a lot of them are dead. I think a lot of the hostages are dead. I think it's a great human tragedy what's happened, how people can be that mean to do.
2 planes carrying around 190 Venezuelan migrants who were deported from the United States landed in Venezuela on Monday night. The move marks the first deal between US President Donald Trump and President Nicolás Maduro.
Around 190 Venezuelan migrants have landed in Venezuela after being deported from the United States. 2 Venezuelan planes arrived at La Guaira Airport Monday night. It's after U.S. envoy Richard Grenell met with President Nicolás Maduro at the end of January, and he left with 6 Americans who'd been held by Venezuelan authorities. It's reported that some people are allegedly involved with the Tren de Aragua gang. Venezuelan Interior Minister Diosdado Cabello says all of them will be vigorously investigated.
95 migrants per flight. That story that all of them have criminal charges is a lie. Very few have them. They're going to go through migration. We'll have a medical checkup. We will interview them to know how they were treated in the United States. You heard they left their families behind back there. They were separated. Today we're trying to reunite them. They love Venezuela. They are happy and they're going to eat arepas.
U.S. President Donald Trump's administration is focusing on deporting gang members, and Trump says that Maduro agreed to take back Venezuelan illegal migrants and arrange their transport. Trump's administration plans to end deportation protection for 348,000 Venezuelans in the U.S., risking their removal by April. In recent years, more than 7 million of them fled a sustained economic and social collapse, which the government blames on U.S. sanctions and others.
The European Union has vowed firm and proportionate countermeasures after US President Trump raised tariffs on steel and aluminium imports to 25%.
The European Union has condemned US President Donald Trump's decision to impose a 25% tariff on steel and aluminum imports, set to take effect on March 4th. EU leaders have vowed firm countermeasures. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen have criticized the tariffs as bad for business and harmful to consumers. She pledged that the EU would not let the decision go unanswered and that it would protect its economic interests. The EU has a significant stake in this dispute, as steel exports to the US account for around $3 billion annually.
We deeply regret these decisions and announcements. The EU sees no justification for the imposition of tariffs on our exports, which is economically counterproductive, especially given the deeply integrated production chains established through our extensive transatlantic trade and investment ties. Tariffs are taxes, bad for businesses, worse for consumers.
European Union Trade Commissioner added that while the EU would protect its businesses and workers, it is committed to dialogue and finding a mutually beneficial solution. The US move comes amid rising trade tensions globally. Trump signed proclamations on Monday, raising the US tariff on aluminum from 10% to 25% and eliminating country exceptions and product-specific exclusions. US President also hinted at future tariffs on cars, semiconductors and pharmaceuticals, despite potential retaliation from other countries.
US Special Envoy for Ukraine and Russia, General Keith Kellogg, is set to visit Kyiv this week ahead of the Munich Security Conference. President Donald Trump confirmed the visit, saying that US officials are working on multiple issues related to Ukraine. He also says he expects to speak with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in the coming days. Zelensky says members of Trump's team will arrive in Kyiv before the conference and says he'll meet US Vice President J.D. Vance in Munich. The discussions are expected to focus on the ongoing security cooperation in Ukraine's efforts to secure long-term US support. At least one person has died and 4 people are injured after 2 aircrafts collided at an airport in Arizona. It happened on Monday afternoon at Scottsdale Airport.
The runway at Scottsdale Airport in Arizona remains closed after a mid-sized plane and a parked aircraft collided Monday afternoon. Authorities say at least 1 person was killed and 4 people were injured.
Today, at approximately 14:39, we had a mid-size business jet, upon arrival, collide with another mid-sized business jet that was parked on private property. Our runway is currently closed and will remain closed for the foreseeable future. We'll have more information on that as it is available.
Several people were trapped inside one of the aircraft, according to officials.
I can tell you that we have 5 souls, 1 DOA, 2 immediates that have been transported to local trauma centers, 1 delayed stable to a local hospital, and this is a still active scene. We're still working on extricating 1 soul out of one of the airplanes. I'm not going to answer any questions while this is an active scene that's going to be under investigation.
The crash comes amid heightened concerns over U.S. air safety. The National Transportation Safety Board are investigating 3 recent fatal incidents amid air collision last week in Washington, D.C. that killed 67, a medical jet crash in Philadelphia that left 7 dead on late January, and a plane crash in Alaska that claimed 10 lives 3 days ago.
A bus accident in Guatemala City has claimed the lives of at least 51 people after the vehicle veered off a highway bridge and plunged into a ravine. Rescue operations are ongoing as authorities work to recover victims and provide aid to the survivors.
The accident occurred early Monday morning when a densely packed passenger bus travelling from San Agustin a Quetzalcoatl lost control and fell approximately 20 metres from Puente Belic, a major highway bridge connecting the region to Guatemala City. Authorities confirmed that the bodies of 36 men and 15 women have been recovered, while several passengers remain trapped in the wreckage. Emergency crews using specialized equipment are working to extract both victims and survivors from the scene.
Unfortunately, many passengers died instantly due to the severe trauma sustained as the bus fell and rolled. Their bodies were extracted and taken to a provisional morgue for identification.
Grief-stricken families have gathered, searching for loved ones among them. Jonathan Arriga, who lost multiple relatives in the accident, described the event as heartbreaking for the entire community.
Many people travel at that hour. I imagine that there were people from there who also got on that bus, and hopefully they did not face this regrettable situation. Guatemala is in mourning. It is an awful accident. They are hard-working people, so it is a very tough situation.
In response, Guatemalan President Bernardo Arevalo has declared 3 days of national mourning and deployed both the army and disaster relief agencies to assist with rescue and recovery efforts. Officials are now investigating the cause of the crash as the nation reels from one of the deadliest bus accidents in recent years.
In the wake of violent clashes between M23 rebels and the Congolese army, the International Committee of the Red Cross is working to remove decomposing bodies from a prison in Goma. This follows a deadly escape and a rising humanitarian crisis in the region.
In Goma, the eastern city of the Democratic Republic of Congo, the International Committee of the Red Cross ICRC has begun removing decomposing bodies from the Muzenze prison. This comes 2 weeks after deadly clashes between M23 rebels and the Congolese army caused a massive escape of prisoners.
In fact, what hurts me the most are the people. Regardless of whether they are prisoners, it is truly heartbreaking. They have been there for more than 2 weeks. The smells are everywhere, everywhere. Truly, it is very heartbreaking.
ICRC volunteers wearing protective gear disinfected and cleared the remains to prevent health risks in the surrounding area.
Because firstly, we are exposed to diseases, and then we have children wandering around here and there in these areas. The children are truly at risk of illness.
A conflict between the government and rebels has been unfolding for years. The M23, a group of rebels made up mostly of ethnic Tutsis, has been at the center of this fighting. The group claims to protect Tutsi communities in Congo, but the Congolese government accuses Rwanda of supporting the rebels to extend its influence in the region. Rwanda denies the accusations. New wave of violence, which began on January 27th, intensified when the M23 forces seized control of Goma. The fighting has already claimed nearly 2,900 lives, according to United Nations sources, with the number expected to rise. The conflict also triggered a severe humanitarian crisis. More than 700,000 people have been displaced from Goma, a city of 1 million, many of whom are now in temporary shelters. Health facilities in the region have reported over 3,000 injuries, and the area faces outbreaks of diseases like cholera and malaria, further complicating the situation.
The World Government Summit opens in Dubai, bringing together over 30 heads of state, 80 international organisations and 140 government delegations in a record-breaking edition. Under the theme Shaping Future Governments, the summit will run until February 13th, focusing on governance, technology and economic trends. The opening day features key forums including the Arab Fiscal Forum, Young Arab Leaders Forum and the Future of Government Communication Forum, addressing global challenges such as fiscal policy, artificial intelligence and sustainable development. With over 200 sessions and 300 global speakers, the summit aims to shape the future of governance and policy making worldwide. A powerful explosion outside a bank branch in the northern city of Kunduz in Afghanistan has left multiple casualties. Police report that 5 people were killed in a suicide bomb blast. Local sources, however, claim that at least 21 Taliban members were killed and more than 30 others injured. Authorities have warned that the death toll may rise as some remain critical amid heightened security concerns in Afghanistan. Our correspondent Tamim Bahis reports from Kabul.
An official from the interim government of Afghanistan confirmed that a suicide bombing occurred near Kabul bank branch in northern Afghanistan. According to the official, security personnel and civilians were killed and many others were injured in the explosion. While no group has claimed responsibility for the attack, the nature of the blast suggests that the Islamic State Khorasan province may be behind it. This comes at a time when, at the UN Security Council meeting, countries like Russia and China warn about the growing security threats from armed groups in Afghanistan. China's UN envoy Fu Kong said that these groups not only threaten Afghanistan, but also regional stability. He urged the interim government of Afghanistan to take action against terrorist groups and called for cooperation between Shanghai Cooperation Organization and Central Asian nations. Russia's UN envoy Vasily Nebenzia stressed that Afghanistan's security situation cannot be ignored. Meanwhile, UN counterterrorism chief Vladimir Voronkov said that the Islamic State remains a significant threat to Afghanistan and beyond. He noted reports of foreign fighters continuing to enter the country. With these warnings, calls for stronger counterterrorism efforts in Afghanistan are growing. Tamim Bahis, A News, Kabul, Afghanistan.
South Korea's Constitutional Court is reviewing the impeachment of President Yoon Suk-yeol. It's deciding whether to reinstate him or remove him permanently from office. It follows his martial law plan announcement he made on the 3rd of December. Key witnesses testified on Tuesday.
Suspended South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol attended a constitutional court on Tuesday as key witnesses testified. The court reviews his impeachment. Yoon was impeached on December the 14th for imposing martial law allegedly without justification on the 3rd of December. He claims it was only a warning. He remains in detention and also faces insurrection charges. Hundreds of supporters gathered calling for the motion to be overturned and are accusing the court of bias.
I came here hoping that it would be revealed that the President Yoon's martial law was legal and that he emphasized ensuring no one gets hurt.
I attended this rally today because the court is conducting trials in an extremely biased manner. To make it simple, I feel deeply frustrated as a citizen, which is why I decided to be here.
The trial began on December the 27th, with the court having up to 180 days to decide whether to remove or reinstate him. If removed, a new election must be held within 60 days. Yoon's fate now rests with the court amid rising political tensions.
BP plans to drill 6 new wells in the Shah Deniz field in the Caspian Sea to maintain stable production. Currently, 21 gas wells are in operation at the field, and additional measures will be taken to sustain production levels. Additionally, BP is continuing its efforts to increase oil production by developing new platforms.
BP plans to add 6 new wells in the Shah Deniz gas field, one of Azerbaijan's key gas reserves, to maintain stable production in the coming years. Currently, BP operates 21 gas wells in Shah Deniz, located in the Caspian Sea, which plays a crucial role in Azerbaijan's strategy to increase gas exports to the European Union. Under a 2022 agreement between Baku and Brussels, Azerbaijan is expected to double its gas supplies to the EU, reaching at least 20 billion cubic meters annually by 2027. In 2024, the field's production increased from 26 billion cubic meters in 2027-2023 to 28 billion cubic meters. The current daily output stands at 76 million cubic meters, close to the field's total capacity of 79 million cubic meters. In addition to gas production, BP is also engaged in oil production. In 2023, the company began production at the new Azeri Central East offshore platform in the Caspian Sea. This project aims to offset declining output at the Azeri Chirag Gunashli oil fields. Azerbaijan's oil production is expected to remain at 29 million tons per year, or 580,000 barrels per day in 2024 and 2025. According to BP, the Azeri Central East platform produced 4 million barrels of oil in 2024. This figure is expected to rise in 2025 as new wells are drilled.
Turkish authorities have deployed mobile siren systems in Izmir, Aydin and Muğla to alert coastal residents about potential tsunamis and other emergencies. It follows the ongoing seismic activity near Greece's Santorini island.
Turkey's Disaster and Emergency Management Authority deployed mobile sirens in Izmir, Aydin and Muğla after ongoing seismic activity near Greece's Santorini island. Since February 7th, the Aegean Sea has experienced 761 earthquakes exceeding magnitude 3. The frequent tremors raised concerns about a major earthquake, tsunami or volcanic eruption on Santorini. Disaster and Emergency Management Authority (AFAD) warned that fine volcanic ash from an eruption could spread through the wind, while a powerful earthquake could generate a tsunami affecting Turkey's coastline. AFAD officials held a Santorini Island seismic activity and risk management meeting to analyze the potential threats. After the meeting, they decided to set up early warning systems along the Aegean coast. AFAD placed mobile sirens in Izmir's Seferhisar district at Mustafa Kemal Atatürk Square. Additional sirens started operating in Aydin's Didim and Muğla's Datça. Officials confirmed that the sirens will alert residents in case of a tsunami or another emergency requiring immediate action. In addition to the sirens, AFAD launched an SMS alert system to notify residents of potential dangers. The seismic activity forced changes to travel plans for tourists visiting Santorini. Authorities in both Turkey and Greece are closely monitoring the situation. Scientists are analyzing data to predict what may happen next, while emergency teams remain on standby to respond to any developments.
President of Kyrgyzstan, Sadir Japarov, has backed Elon Musk's proposal to close Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty and Voice of America, criticising the waste of US taxpayer money. In an interview, Japarov questioned the relevance of these outlets, citing growing scepticism over inaccurate information. Our correspondent Fariza Kalamazina brings us the latest developments.
Kyrgyz President Sadir Japarov has expressed support for Elon Musk's proposal to close Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty and Voice of America. In an interview with the Khabar news agency, Japarov shared his belief that both Musk and President Donald Trump understand the importance of halting what he described as the senseless waste of Americans' money. According to Japarov, the 21st century has brought rapid advancements in technology, particularly with smartphones and the internet, which allow people to access information instantly. As a result, traditional news outlets like Radio Azattyk, the Kyrgyz affiliate of Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty, are becoming less relevant. While Japarov acknowledged that Azattyk was trusted in the past, he noted that many people now prefer to obtain their news through digital platforms. The Kyrgyz president pointed out that the public has become more adept at analyzing news and is skeptical of inaccurate information, which in his view is sometimes spread by Azattyk. He added that permissiveness shouldn't be confused with human rights and freedom of speech. This is not the first time Japarov has criticized Azattyk. Last year, the Kyrgyz leader similarly claimed that the public had stopped trusting the outlet. Similar situation arose with Radio Liberty's affiliates across Central Asia. For example, in Tajikistan, Radio Ozodi, the Tajik affiliate of Radio Liberty, is inaccessible since 2021. In Kazakhstan last year, 36 Azattyk journalists were denied accreditation, citing national security concerns. Additionally, 3 years ago, the Minister of Culture in Kyrgyzstan blocked the Radio Azattyk website, citing content that allegedly contradicted state interests. Last year, Radio Azattyk decided to optimize its structure in Central Asian countries. It was announced that the regional editorial offices would be abolished and a single media center would be established instead. From Almaty, Kazakhstan, Fariza Kalimurzyna, A-News.
Billionaire Elon Musk and a group of investors have submitted a $97.4 billion bid to acquire OpenAI, the artificial intelligence company behind ChatGPT. The offer was presented to OpenAI's board on Monday, according to the Wall Street Journal.
An investor group led by Elon Musk has offered $97.4 billion to acquire OpenAI, with Musk's attorney Mark Toberoff submitting the bid on his behalf. Musk, who co-founded OpenAI in 2015, left in 2018 after failing to gain control of the company. Since then, he has been a vocal critic of OpenAI's shift from a non-profit to a for-profit structure, arguing that the company abandoned its original mission of open-source AI development. Under CEO Sam Altman, OpenAI has grown into a $100 billion company, backed by major investors like Microsoft and venture capital firms. Musk has previously sued OpenAI, accusing it of prioritizing profits over safety, though OpenAI countered with evidence suggesting Musk had once supported the need for large-scale funding. In a statement provided by his attorney, Musk said the acquisition would ensure OpenAI returns to being a safety-focused force for good. OpenAI has not formally responded to the offer, and Reuters reports that the company declined to comment on the bid.
One town in southern Peru was filled with tens of thousands of colourful dancers on Monday. They were taking part in the Virgen de la Candelaria festival, which was held in the city of Puno. The annual event dates back to the 16th century and draws upon Catholic traditions.
More than 40,000 dancers and musicians filled the streets of Puno in southern Peru. They're celebrating one of the most significant days of the Virgen de la Candelaria festival, which dates back to the 16th century. It starts at the beginning of February with a daybreak mass and then an ancient purification ceremony. The next day, the image of Virgin Mary is carried through the streets with a procession of traditional music and dancing with 40 folkloric groups. The celebration showcases traditional dances such as Morenada and Diablada. The event was recognized as an intangible cultural heritage by the United Nations in 2014 and attracts thousands of locals and tourists.
You were watching A News. Thank you for staying with us.